Hello everyone, I'm Jennie. Do you know what is different from other day? Because I changed my English name Olivia to Jennie. Today to every day I will be Jennie, okay? And today we will read Daisy and the Trouble with Giants. These books, and we will read together with this doll. When you ask his or she's name, I didn't answer you because I didn't know even this is my doll. Funny, right? And let's go to read it. Today we'll read this book, Daisy and the Trouble with Giants. And this, I will read chapter 1 to chapter 4, okay? Chapter 1. The trouble with giants is they shouldn't live at the top of magic beanstalks. If Giant didn't live at the top of magic beanstalks, then what happened today wouldn't have happened in the first place, or the second place, or any at the places in Nanny and Grampy's garden. Nanny wouldn't have got crows. Mom wouldn't have got crows. Grampy wouldn't have got crows. No one would have got crows. You can't blame me if magic bean didn't sparkle. Magic beans should be really easy to spot if they did sparkle like magic. But they don't, which isn't my fault. Chapter 2. I'd love to meet a real giant. Giants have giant shoes with giant buckles, giant clothes, and giant buttons. Giant front door with giant doorbell, and inside their castle they have giant table with plate full of giant food. If I was a giant, I'd eat crunchy creams as big as tractor trails, and I'd keep them in the biscuit tin as big as a house. If I wanted a drink, I would pour my orange squash into a glass. We'd have giant adventure and everything. When we got thirsty, we would drink giant lemonade, and when we got hungry, we could eat giant crunchy creams or custard creams. I don't really mind. That's another trouble with giants. They got really hungry and really thirsty, which is why they go free food farm. The trouble with fame FIFO farm is only giants should he allowed to say it. Otherwise, it can end up getting quite rude. In story time at school on Friday, Jack Beach Weasel said FIFO farm really loudly, and then he said, Daniel Benny's is it stinky dumb, which rhymes, but it isn't very nice. Mrs. Peters, our teacher, doesn't like it if you shout out in class. My teacher didn't like shouting at my class too, maybe. It's my classmates' rule. Especially if you shout FIFO farm, Daniel Baines is a stinky dumb. She said if Jack Binch Whistle didn't say sorry to Daniel Bannis straight away, then there wouldn't be any more story times on the Friday ever again for any of us. Which is really unfair because why should me and all my friends not get any more stories just because of that Jack Binch Whistle said? That's the trouble with Jack Binch Whistles. He can control his word, especially during story times. The trouble with story time in school is we only get one story. I wish we got 100 stories, and I wish all the stories were about giants. Mr. Peters is really good at reading stories. She does different voices and everything. When my mom reads me stories at bedtime, she does the same voices for everything. So like there's a princess and a prince in the story. They have the same sounding voice, even when one a man and one's a woman. Which isn't right, really. Mrs. Peters got the princess voice, prince voice, king voice, witch voice, wolf voice, and even frog voices. My mom just does mom's voices, but I just still like her reading stories to me. On Friday, Mrs. Peters read us the story of Jack and the Beanstalks. It was really good, except for when Jack Bin Whistle started fee-fee-for farming all over the place. The story of Jack and the Beanstalks has got all sorts of really exciting things in it, like the giant, he the best beat, and a hen that lays golden eggs, and a harp that sings all by itself, and golden treasures, and a magic beanstalk, plus a really sharp axe. Mrs. Peters did all the voices and everything, apart from the beanstalks and the sharp axe. The trouble with beanstalks and sharp axe is they can't speak, which means they didn't say anything during the story. But everyone else did, including Jack Binch Whistle. Mrs. Peters put the book down when Jack Binch Whistle started fee-fee for farming. She said just because the hero in the story happened to be called Jack too, there was no excuse for silliness or shouting. Jack Binch Whistles is always being silly and shouty and rude. Anyway, he did say sorry to Daniel in the end. So we will still get stories at school next Friday afternoon. I hope Jack Binch Whistle didn't. I hope he has stand outside the classroom and be really sorry, because I don't think he was sorry at all to Daniel Bannis. Neither does my best friend Gabi. Chapter 3. On the way home from school after our Jack and the Beanstalk story, Gabi and me pretended we were giants too. Gabi changed her name to Gabi the Great and I changed my name to Daisy the Enormous. I couldn't think of the giant word that begins with D, neither could my mom. Apart from dinosaur. But Daisy the dinosaur didn't sound right. Plus, dinosaurs aren't like giants. Well, they are giants, but they don't look like giants. So I went for enormous. Pretending to be giants is brilliant fun. Gabby and me did great big giant footsteps instead of normal ones. We all the way home. We pretended to the cracks in the pavement were roads. We pretended that all the ants by our feet were cars and all the giants in the air were helicopters. That's what happens when you are a giant. Everything around you goes really tinsy because you're so tall and high up. Like this airplane. And look at the teeny tiny curves. But when we are down, the car is not teeny tiny. They are very big. Okay, so someone had drawn an orange squish cartoon on the pavement, so we pretended it was a really tall building. And then we trod on it. Then Gabby saw some chewed up chewing gum on the pavement and pretended it was a really big mountain. Then she trod on that too. The trouble with pretending chew up chewing gum is a mountain. As if you tread on it, it gets stuck out of your shoes, really stuck. Especially when it's a hot day. Mom said that on hot days things warm up in the sunshine. And when they warm up, they go all soft and sticky, especially things like chewing gum. You should never treat on chewing gum on a hot day, especially chewed up chewing gum. Actually, Mom said it's probably better not to trade on chewing gum at all, even on cold days. Gabby said she had no choice because she had changed her name again. This time, she was called Gabby the Mountain Crusher. And so when she saw a mountain, she just had to tread on it. Mom said she would have to be Gabby the foot scraper now because the only way to get the chewing gum off would be to scrape the bottom of her shoes along the pavement all the way home. She did look funny. When we got to Gabby's house, Gabby and I promised we would play giant all weekend. I said I would go to Gabby's house to play on Saturday. And Gabby said she would come to my house to play on Sunday. That's when my mom told me we could go play giant together on Saturday because on Sunday, me and my mom were going to my nanny's and grandpa's for lunch in our new second-hand car. Me and my mom quite often go to my nanny and grandpa's for Sunday lunch. Mom said it gives her a break. I'm not sure what from though. The trouble with going to my nanny and grandpa's for Sunday lunch is sometimes I wish Gabby could come with us. I really wish Gabby could come with us this Sunday because playing giant probably takes 2 days at least. But Mom said Gabi wouldn't be able to come with us this Sunday. She wanted to get used to driving a new second-hand car before she started giving people left in it. That's the trouble with the new second-hand cars. Green ones aren't as easy to drive as red ones. I said that if Gabi and me put our seat belts on the close our eyes all the way there, we would be fine. But Mom said that wouldn't be necessary. And anyway, we would have to give Nanny more notice. My nanny makes the best gravy in the world. Plus, she gave me loads of roasted potatoes. Trouble in though, if you don't tell her at least 6 weeks before that someone else is coming to lunch, she'll get into a bit of a tease. Gabi says her nanny gets her roasted potatoes out of the bag in the freezer. And her Yorkshire puddings. But my nanny makes her Yorkshire puddings and potatoes herself. I love going to my nanny and grandpa's house anyway any day of the week. They've got a shed with real nice holes in. Plus, they've got apple trees and plum trees. And a wheelbarrow. A trouble with a wheelbarrow is sometimes they squeak. My grandpa's wheelbarrow really squeaks. He says it isn't the wheelbarrow, it's the mice in the shed trying to trick us. But it isn't. It's my grandpa trying to trick me. Sometimes my grandpa puts me in the wheelbarrow and takes me to London. Not really London, pretend London. We pretend that he's my taxi driver and then off we go. London is a patio and Buckingham Palace is a patio, and Buckingham Palace is the swing seat next to the red flowers. Going to Nanny and Grandpa's is one of the best things in the world, except for when I do something really, really wrong and get really, really told off, like today. Mom said we'll be lucky if we ever get invited back to Nanny's and Grandpa's after what I did today, even if I did say sorry, and even if it was a giant sorry. Chapter 4. The trouble with playing giants with Gabi is she always wants to be a giantess. When I got to her house yesterday morning, I told her that I had changed my name to Daisy the Ginormous, and that I was definitely the giantess giant because I had grown 100 meters higher in the night. Trouble was that made her really jealous. So every time I said how tall I was, she said she was the same and a bit. The trouble with me saying I was 100 skyscraper high was Gabi said she has 100 skyscrapers high and a bit. The trouble with me saying I was 2 millions tree high, was Gabi said she was 2 million trees high and a big. And the trouble with me saying I was zillion big red bushes high, and the bit was Gabi was said she was a jillion big red bushes high and 2 bits, which made me really cross. So I changed my name to Daisy the Giantess, and no returns. Huh! Gabi had to be the smallest giant after that. Mind you, even then, she still said she'd only be the smallest giant by half a bit. Sigh. Gabi's always doing things like that. When her mom and dad heard us arguing along, they came in and said that we'd have to play something else if we couldn't stop arguing. But there was no way we were going ever playing anything else. Playing giants is far too much fun. So we stopped arguing, and we went upstairs to play giant in Gabi's bedroom. Gabi's bedroom is perfect for playing giants in. We pretended her bed has our castle. Her wardrobe was the castle kitchen, and her pillows were white fluffy clouds. You need white fluffy clouds on the floor to pretend your castle is really high up. Then we did a giant magic spell on the Gabi's toys and turned them into really good giant-y things. You had much better things than a hen that lays golden eggs. We had a teddy that gave us golden money, and a money that laid golden bananas, and a dolly that cried golden tears, and the golden dice that made everything 6 times more golden if you drew a 6. Except the trouble with sizes is they're a bit hard to get. So we changed it to 10 times more golden whatever numbers we drew. In about 5 minutes, we are rich. The trouble with being rich is Gabi always wants to be the richest. Gabi said she was definitely the richest giant because the magic monkey had laid a bigger bunch of golden bananas for her than for me. But I told her that the magic dolly would cry golden tears, that done an enormous teardrop for me. Plus, the teddy had given me a whole bank full of golden money, which made me the richest. Then we started arguing again. The trouble with arguing again is made Gabi's dad come to the bedroom. When he looked around the door at us, he did a giant puff and said, what now? I don't think he was pretending to be a giant. His puff and puff just came out the sides. If I said I could say anything, Gabi said I wasn't being fair. She let me be the biggest again, and now I want to be a richest giant as well, which wasn't true. It's not my fault if a magic dolly and the bigger golden tears were me, or if the magic teddy had been to bank. But Gabi's dad folded her arms and did another giant huff and puff. like like this. Then he went to on Gabi's side and asked me if I wouldn't mind letting Gabi be the richest giant, seeing as I was the tallest giant. So I had to say yes, she could be the richest giant, but only my half a golden banana. So everyone, we read chapter 1 to chapter 4. And next time I didn't really sure about chapter 5 to chapter 9 or 8. Okay, so this is finished to our reading things, and I didn't you can't ask me why is he or she is in our class to reading books, and I will answer, I don't know, so anything. Goodbye to you, and next time we'll meet again. So goodbye everyone, thank you for listening to me.